November. So I'm Nick, Vice Chair, standing in for Bev, who's sadly unwell for this evening. So wish her all the best. All the best. Just to say, Bake Off final is at 8 o'clock. Hopefully we'll be finished by then, but just in case we're not, you might want to set it on record. Any Bake Off fans? But apart from that, we always start with the public questions, and we do have a public speaker tonight. So before we start the meeting, I'm going to invite Carl, who's also chair of the Taunton LTN.
Great, thank you.
So you have a question.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, committee. I sent the following questions over prior to this evening, so I hope you've had an opportunity to have a cursory glance at them as well. I'd like to ask the committee the following questions in relation to the Christmas parking initiative agreed in the July meeting. I've got 7 questions in total, so I'll number them just so you can follow as well. Question number 1 is, how much did the previous year's scheme cost to the council, and how does the 24,760 pence allocated for this year compare to that total? Question 2 is, the cost of this scheme was stated in the briefing pack as being estimated. Is the agreement with Somerset Council for the scheme a fixed total cost for the 2 Saturdays, or will the final charge to the council be based on a per usage basis, i.e. like per car in each car park? Question 3 is there a cost benefit ratio available or some data showing the additional revenue and footfall that the scheme will bring to the town? Question 4, this scheme was approved in July. Will the increased parking charges introduced by Somerset Council in August have any effect on the estimated costs of or operation of this? Question 5 is, if Somerset Council also proceeds with its proposal to begin charging for Sunday parking, how does the Town Council intend to respond to the 2 weekends where free parking has already been agreed to be funded? Excuse me. Question 6. Subsidising public transport or the park and rides could have encouraged more public transport use, reduced emissions and helped reduce traffic in the town centre. I find it a little troubling that, having previously declared a climate and ecological emergency, the Town Council's endorsement of the scheme seems to be counter to that. Encouraging increased use of the new government-funded electric buses or the park and ride service would seem to me to have been a more fitting approach. Why was there no consideration given to subsidising local bus services or the park and ride service? And finally, question 7 is, supporting local businesses in the town centre, particularly during a vital trading period, is an aim I fully support. However, given that Taunton residents' council tax funds both Somerset Council and Taunton Town Council, does it not seem rather illogical that the Town Council is paying the Unitary Council for a service that local taxpayers have effectively already funded? Furthermore, whilst I'm not suggesting any economic shenanigans, it's worth noting that both councils are controlled by the same political party, with around a fifth of town councillors also being elected members of the financially struggling Somerset Council. In light of this, does the committee not feel it's somewhat peculiar and perhaps unfair that Taunton residents are effectively being double taxed by the councils that are under control of the same political administration? And is the committee concerned about the potential appearance for town council funds being funneled to support the financially struggling Unitary Council as a result of both councils being controlled by the same political party? I came in on time as well.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Carl. And we do have a response for you by each question. So the first question, budget for 24-25 was £25,000 in each one. Last year it was £22,000. This year it's 24,700. That's an increase of that 2,600-ish. For question 2, so that's how much it's increased by there.
Is that the actual? Sorry, am I allowed to come back?
The actual cost for this year is the 24,700.
That's the budget for this year, but I was asking about the actual cost of last year.
The actual cost of last year was 22,000. Okay. So
considering the responses.
Yeah, I mean this will be provided to us in written response.
Okay.
I'll just run through some brief responses on this one. So question 2, the agreement with Somerset Council is for a fixed cost covering the 2 Saturdays. So it's not based on actual usage. So we just agreed a price there. For question 3, the scheme has been requested by local businesses who report a noticeable boost in trading during this period. This does suggest a positive impact on footfall, and therefore the local economy. Data collected from residents as part of our Christmas survey show that 89% of respondents described the parking offer as very helpful. 7% wanted it extended to further dates. Question 4, as it was approved in July, so the answer to that was no, the fees agreed remains unchanged. So that's been agreed with that. Question 5, so it's about proceeding with the Sunday parking. So the proposed changes will not come, the Sunday parking charges will not come into effect until 2026. So that's been already agreed for what's this year. So no, it won't effectively. And question 6, offering free parking for Christmas aims to support local businesses based on previous positive feedback. While we fully support sustainable transport and will continue promoting greener travel options, these may not suit everyone, especially those with lots of shopping and disabilities or with young children. Free parking helps making shopping more accessible. That we have considered that. Question 7, I mean, this was discussed with the chair of the committee, and I'm just the vice chair. They decided, because you at the end referred it or related it back to the fact that the same political party running both councils, the chair has gone to the Tom Deacon, the leader of council. I thought it's become a bit of a political question there, so I think Tom Deacon is happy to come back to you on that one personally.
Okay,
so,
excellent.
As I say, what I've just summarised there will be sent to you as a written form.
May I come back on something? It's a positive. It is a positive.
Yeah. Well, we've got 15 minutes for public.
Excellent, thank you. So I'd like to thank you for the responses to the question first of all, and also say to whoever negotiated that deal with Somerset Council in terms of not having the additional charges increase, having it as a fixed cost. Well done, whoever that was. That's a very, very, very good job, and they deserve a pat on the back for that. So.
Great.
No, I can't.
No.
They've done a grand job, in my opinion, on that. So well done.
I hope they're watching or listening. Or that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, since we have no other public speakers, we can move on to start the meeting formally. So we can start recording that. Have we started recording? We have. Lovely. Right. First of all, I received apologies from Councillor Garside, and I think we've received apologies from Councillor Fernandez, and there's nothing else, is there? Nobody else, so that's fine. Okay. Item 2, declarations of interest. So you are to declare now whether you have an interest in any of the agenda items coming, personal or human. No? Okay. Right. So moving swiftly on, we got to the minutes of the last meeting, and I hope you've had a look at the minutes. I looked at the minutes, noticed that I'd sent my apologies, so I can confirm that that is correct. Has anyone got any comments on the minutes? So can I propose that I sign them off as a true record? Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Honor, and the seconder. Thank you, Councillor Strauss. All those in favour? Right. Okay. Right. Passed. I'll do them at the end, Sean. Okay. Item 4, forward plan. So we are currently the 4th of November. I believe the next meeting's on the 2nd of December and the 6th of January. I don't think on there. Anyone wants to come back on? Councillor Hens?
This might be a bit cheeky, but it's for the next meeting, events on council land policy. Just that we have a policy currently of our own friends groups. We're not with charge of friends groups for hosting community events on council land. And there was some discussion. Well, there seemed to be some indication that this was being reviewed, and I'm like, well, we just adopted that policy. I can't remember how long. It wasn't that long ago. So I don't really want that all to be revisited. That isn't on the agenda, is it? And if I don't understand what's the sort of scope of that. Or is it something about something completely different to do with events on council land? Is it more to do with, I don't know, environmental requirements that we might have or what?
Yes, would I definitely ask you that.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Ellis. So, yeah, it's not with the Friends of Groups. We know that actually the Friends of Groups charges are captured as part of the fees and charges, which are looked after by the Finance and Governance Committee. The events on council land is a policy to help guide council decision regarding the types of activities that we facilitate and make happen on council land. An example I can give you is the process that was followed regarding the Prizewood Fun Fair, and we just want to make that process much smoother and to have a policy in place to help guide decision making when the inquiries come through.
Councillor,
Is there going to be a draft before the meeting to have a bit of input? So just might benefit from it, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. We can share it with the culture forum or the culture working group for sure. Absolutely.
are there any other comments on the forward plan? I have to say I'm intrigued by what the rain gardens are. Do you know what the rain gardens are?
So the rain gardens are part of our watermark town status project. So as part of slowing the flow and improving that in our local parks, we're investigating possibility of putting in some rain gardens.
Okay, should look forward to that. Otherwise, are we all happy with the forward plan? We're just noting this, aren't we? I don't any debate. No, great. So, right, item 5, update from the chair. Talking to Councillor Fernandez earlier, she didn't have anything she wanted to pass on. We came to the view that also that we're meeting now monthly. Entirely sure that we need a chair's update each month because they're so frequent. And we certainly don't have one in operations and assets. So there's nothing to report from the chair. Item 6 there, we have a number of working groups underneath us, and just invite any of those who are chairs of those working groups, if you have anything you'd like to report back from a meeting that you've had recently. Is there anything? Councillor Ellis, which one's it? Which
Oh,
one's it?
arts and culture.
Art
It's cheeky because it's not from a meeting, but I just wanted to say that Somerset Youth Theatre did a fantastic performance at the studio, the Brew House, with their Taunton group. It was amazing. It was called A Very Capitalist Caterpillar. The MP was in attendance alongside myself, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I just think those young people are just amazing. I mean, they devise it's all original devised theatre. It's all the ideas come from them, and they're supported to kind of craft it into an amazing performance, which they did. And it's just we give certain amounts of funding to SYT, and it just really highlighted for me how powerful an organisation it is in terms of youth empowerment, like, you know, supporting young people to create incredible, original, unique theatre. The other thing, I visited Action Track last week. Action Track are just across the road, just next to Character Graphics, and I do think they're rather brilliant. They do a lot of sort of community capacity building. So if they're groups that want to expand, do music activity, or have music provision as part of their offer, they have funding from HSBC, Hinkley Point C Community Fund, and they can offer mentoring and support, and they bring people together. They do loads of work. I didn't realise the extent of it really, but it's quite, you know, they support a gospel choir, African gospel choir. They support a big band in Bishop's Hole. They support they've done loads of work with Charis as well. And it's just and it's an incredible facility. So we have our own recording studio in town. It's really nice in there. It's super zen. They do loads of projects. Definitely worth following them on Facebook, because they have opportunities like for young musicians. Every year you can record a track for their They have an album that they do every year for young musicians. And just so if you know any young musicians or anybody who needs any support, mentoring with anything to do with music, Action Track are absolutely amazing. And a plug, finally for Taunton Thespians' latest production, The Woman in White, is on this week. I think we'll probably will be going to that.
Next week.
11th next week, yeah, 11th to the 15th of November at the Brew House, and highly recommended. You'd never want to miss a Thespians production.
Lovely, excellent. So that's the arts and culture. Anything else? No. Okay. Right. So item 7, local policing verbal update. Do we have an update? No. Okay. Right. So moving on. Item 8. So members are now to consider the budget for community in place for the following financial year, 26-27. And we are to recommend that the full council note the budget for community place. So I'm going to ask Gail if she'd like to talk us through the report.
Chair, attached to the report is the draft budget for community in place and for the civic area, both of which fall under this committee. In addition, there's the full budget attached as well, just for members' information. Since the papers were issued, 2 amendments have been made to the community in place budget. The CCTV has been reduced to 110,000 in line with the SLA that we have with Somerset Council, and the cultural development budget reduced from 50 to 20,000, and that is to make up the shortfall in the service level agreement for the brew house. So those 2 amendments bring the budget for communities in place down to 1,322,515 on a net basis, and that would reduce what was in the paper. In the paper, I said the total precept requirement currently would have been 6,858,406, which would be an increase of 4.4% on the current year, but that will reduce that now to 6,815,406, which is the equivalent to £12.06 a year increase in the band D.
Okay. So this is for us just to discuss, and whatever we recommend we pass on to the Finance and Governance Committee before they send it on full council. So you've all had a chance to look at it. Have I got any comments around this? Councillor Ellis?
Yeah, a lot of us have asked lots of searching questions prior to this meeting just to make sure that everything in there is absolutely necessary, and I think that's the budgeting process, isn't it, for this council? You don't just start with, oh well, last year we spent X amount, so I know, we'll just stick that in again. It's like you have to justify every single thing, every single budget line has to be justified by the, you know, chief of whatever to Gail, and we've asked a lot of questions, so this budget makes sense to me, and I think this is a crucial area for the council because it's not just all of the stuff relating to the environment and to arts and culture, to youth engagement, to community safety, to all of the popular town centre events, all of the civic stuff, comms, marketing, economic development, the whole plethora of things this council now does to support our town and the community in so many ways. So yeah, we've been through it. There's been a lot of line by line, you know, challenging. Do we need that? What's that for? And yeah, we need all of the things listed here. So yeah, I am happy with this budget. And also I would just say, so it's good if we can, because I think the CPI, the rate of inflation, is it 3.5 or 3.8, something like that. So we're basically trying to limit any rise in precept to
3.8.
yeah, just above inflation, because we recognise how hard things are for our residents, and yet in the next year we will be able to do, we have set ourselves up to do more, to deliver more for the town, whilst trying to keep a lid on how much we take from our residents.
Lovely, thank you. Do I have any other comments on this? I think it's important to just emphasise that we have looked at this in detail. We've looked at especially key items like how we're funding our youth budgets and how much money we are providing. Maybe we've got some core things we want to deliver here at the council. Youth is one of them, Taunton Together is another, the Christmas, and all these things. We like them in the town, and I think given by the footfall that we had for Taunton Together, it seems like the town like them, and we are scrutinising this to make sure that we are getting value for money. Recognising we need to spend the money, but we are looking to make sure we get value for money. So, is there anything else on the budget? Any particular item that anyone wants to ask about? I have no other comments. Are we happy to recommend this in finance and governance? Finance. Right, in that case, the recommendation is to consider the draft budget that's been put to us today and to recommend that this is presented to Finance and Governance Committee on the proposed budget requirement for Community in Place 26-27. I have a proposer. Thank you, Councillor Pollard. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Ellis. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Okay, so that will now go to Finance and Governance. And when do they meet?
16th of December.
And that's online as well, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so item 9. We have a report on Sign Live and the British Sign Language Interpretation Service pilot. And this report has been prepared for us by Bryony. And Bryony, are you happy to talk us through it?
Thanks, Chair. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, really pleased to announce the proposal tonight. This is to pilot the Sign Live British Sign Language Interpretation Service. This initiative has come off the back of a review that we've been doing into our accessibility across all of our provisions, particularly for our deaf and hard of hearing residents. We don't currently have a high recorded usage from the community, but we do recognise that the absence of requests might actually be reflective of we're not very accessible at the moment, rather than an actual lack of need. So the company Sign Live, it has in the last fortnight, I think, rebranded to Convo, which I think I have mentioned in the report, but just for the absence of any confusion there. And some of the things that they offer include a 24/7 video relay and remote interpreting service. So this is like the Skype or video call service. They do also offer a QR service, which is something that we could use for events. So it's a unique to us QR code, which would mean that members of the public are able to access councillors or members of staff via an interpreter that way as well. It is this company is already used by 40 councils and recognised by the NHS and used by quite a few NHS agencies. I've met with the company to look into some of their pricing, and they do offer this pay as you go, so no annual licence fees, which seems to be the right sort of way to start, just to gauge what the requirement is. So we would plan to use the service on a request basis initially, with a soft launch and then wide promotion for our website, just so that we could gauge interest and uptake in it. We would be able to use it for things like councillor surgeries, in-person conversations. If we had a requirement to have interpreters in the room at meetings, that is something that they offer, but it's not something that I've necessarily budgeted for in the first year. It was more just to kind of get an understanding of where the requirement might be and help us gauge what the demand is. Pending approval, this would be budgeted for in 26-27, so the proposed go live date would be in April, and would recommend a 1-year pilot so that we could monitor the usage of that and then try and ensure value for money moving forward, but I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I have to say, I am supportive. I think it's good that a council is inclusive to all members. Just one quick question. I mean, referring to this, I mean, this meeting is on YouTube. And is it possible that our meetings can be transcribed? You often see a lot of, like on the BBC, and the BBC News has, they've got a transcription running underneath. Is that something we can do ourselves for here, which help make these meetings more inclusive for people?
So there is the option to do a British Sign Language interpretation as opposed to a text interpretation of the videos. So I did speak to the company to say that if this is something they could support for us, and they've said yes, it would just come out of our minuted allowance for that month. So we might want to consider which meetings we would potentially want to use it for, but yes, in theory we could.
Yes, because that £2.50 a minute, they probably wouldn't want a sign language for our meetings. But I think having a transcription would be quite good. A good start anyway. Councillor Ellis, you're keen to.
I'm very keen on this because I think me and Marcus actually might have had an initial, I can't remember how long ago it was. So I'm glad it hasn't been forgotten about, and I'm so glad that you brought this forward. This is so important for deaf people, you know, having that access to council services, because if you think about our website and the information on our website, if you're reading it, it's all in English. For a lot of BSL users, that's their second language. It's no good. You need information in BSL for it to be truly accessible. So this is, for me, this is really big. I know lots of borough councils, district councils have signed up to Sign Live, and Wessex Water, you know, all big companies, DWP, and I just think this is really, if we see ourselves as a gold standard council that is accessible to and inclusive of the whole community, this is basic stuff. And there is an active deaf club here. There are deaf people who live here and who come into town, you know, who use services in Taunton. And I think this will mean an awful lot to them. It's so important because it's about equality and it's about inclusion. And we have to, as a council, make ourselves accessible, by law, but this is, you know, I just think this is so important. And it will then put pressure on the big Somerset Council to say, well, why aren't they signed up to this? This should be this to me is just a basic sort of thing. So I think this is absolutely brilliant. And I think the thing is, if a deaf person said, I want to come to a particular meeting, and if they let you know, then you can just book them in. So, you know, it would be like, again, on demand, as you explained, and it's just, you know, it's so difficult unless you can access it in sign language. If that's your first language, you know, English or transcription is not really that great. So I think I'm really, really happy about this. This is just about equality and inclusion, and everybody in Taunton, you know, whatever your communication mechanism, you know, you need to be included, and this will mean a lot to the deaf community for sure. So I'm really happy, and let's just hope the big council and other councils take heed and follow suit.
Just clarifying, we just need a setup fee of £350, and is that an annual fee? Sorry, that was that.
No, so
the one-off.
it's a one initial, and it includes
and then we just pay £2.50 a minute, or whenever we use that service.
The initial fee does also include the training. I think I did put it in here, but it might be in the risk analysis part, but that does include training for staff and members to be able to use and access the service as well.
I think it's something we should have access to, isn't it? Because if anyone came to us and said, sorry, I need that, the only way I can access is with the sign now, well, we haven't got one of them. So yes, I'm happy to support this and get this through. Councillor Ellis, are you happy to propose this?
Yes, please.
Is that there we go. I expected that. Okay, so Councillor Ellis would like to propose this. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Pollard. I better read out the recommendation, isn't it? To approve Taunton Town Council signing up to a Sign Live interpretation service on a pilot basis, and this is a pilot basis, isn't it, for this 1 year, but I have a feeling I think it's a good resource to have make this more inclusive throughout. So, but at the moment, it's a pilot service, as one of the recommendations says. So, Councillor X has proposed, Councillor Pollard has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously.
Very much.
That's great. Right, we now come to 2 ward member schemes. Excellent. So the first one is a ward member initiative that has been submitted by Councillor Deacon and with support from Councillor Evans, and regarding the boxing club up in North Taunton. And Will, you've written this report. Are you able to present it to us?
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, this is a application from Councillor Deacon on with support from Councillor Evans, as it is in Pearland ward. It's for £3,000 to purchase a new boxing ring for Blue Flames Boxing Club. A very open and accessible boxing club in the community, charging bills £3 per session for under 14s. So it brings support to the deprived area of town, helping the council to engage with young, hard to reach audiences and benefit the local community. In addition, it encourages greater participation in sports, which positively benefits health and wellbeing of Taunton, as well as supporting culture, free sport in that aspect. That's pretty much the summary. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Okay, so our recommendation is to consider the ward member initiative scheme application for £3,000 to purchase a new boxing ring for Blue Flames Boxing Club. Do I have any comments on this? Anyone like to ask any questions? Councillor Pollard?
Just wanted to say I'm fully supportive of this. I know that residents in my ward have mentioned this particular thing, and they always talk about how good it is. So it's great that we're supporting them.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? So there's plenty of budget in the ward member scheme for this. So, and it's there to be spent. And do we know how many young people use the boxing club?
I do not. I can get that figure to you if you would like.
Well, that's thinking of that be there now, but Councillor Pollard, you know people who use it.
Yeah,
I mean, I have heard this before. I think from a lady called Angela Benider. She mentioned it a couple of years ago, and she said, and what good work it's doing, because it's giving young people a focus in an evening, and something to work on, something to aim for. So it's helping them. So I'm really supportive. I'm happy to propose this. So the recommendation is that we do grant £3,000 to purchase a new boxing ring for Blue Flames Boxing Club. I will propose this. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pollard. All those in favour? That is granted unanimously. Excellent. When they've got it, Councillor Pollard, you can go along, have a look at it, pull back and tell us how it's being used. Right, so our second ward member scheme is one from Councillor Packer Hughes in the Wyvern Club in Vivery. Members are asked to consider the ward members initiative scheme application for £5,420 to install new geolock fencing around the rugby pitches at the Wyvern Centre, Taunton. So again, I believe, Will, you wrote this report.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
You're able to present it to us.
Yeah, so as we discussed, it concerns the installation of new fencing at the Wyvern Club. This is because the current fencing offer is deemed to be unsafe in terms of there isn't any protection for the rugby players when they basically fall and come off the pitch. And so this adds an extra barrier. It's not The recommendation from Mayoral Club recommend a 5 metre runoff. It doesn't quite achieve that, but it does make the boundary safer than what it already is. So it addresses key health and safety concerns. It also adds in additional or a new fence where there's currently fencing for the tennis courts, which are currently, the way they were described to me, is they're high and bowing, so they're cutting them down to reduce vandalism. On that site, I have been informed as well that the fencing that is to be installed is less than 2 metres tall, and therefore won't require planning permission. In terms of what it will help to support the activities in our town and encourage greater participation in sports and benefit health and wellbeing in Taunton. And it will also, encourage local children and enhance the play experience for children and members of the Wyvern Football Club. In terms of budget available, there's sufficient budget within the Ward Members Initiative scheme for Vibrary to facilitate this request. I'll open that to any questions.
Lovely, thank you. Well, you answered my first question, which was did it require planning permission? So I remember that, so you were coming down there. It doesn't, due to its height being less than 2 metres. But I'm a bit confused by the first photograph, which is the black line running across it. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so that is where the fencing will be installed.
Right.
And so it dictates where that line will be compared to where that permanent hard stuff is. So that's the barrier that it will protect you so that the players aren't falling into brick.
Yeah. Okay. And that's sufficient because doesn't the Wyvern clubhouse extend quite a way down?
Yes, so I believe it's going the entire way.
I was going the entire length.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Do I have any other questions from members? Well, there's sufficient budget. Again, this is a ward member scheme. The money's there to be spent, and it's there to be spent on the community. The Wyvern Club is a community venue offering rugby and sport for young people as well. So the issue, in the interest of safety, which has been highlighted, I think it's worthwhile, and it's certainly well within the budget available. So that's I'm happy to propose this. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Strauss, thank you very much. So we are considering the Ward Members Initiative Scheme application for £5,420 to install new dual-lock fencing around the rugby pitches at the Wyvern Centre, Taunton. I've proposed it. Councillor Strauss has seconded it. All those in favour? Wanted. That's unanimously received. Unanimously accepted. Right. Okay. So we're doing very well. Right, item 12, Christmas lights extension. Okay, so we've got a few recommendations here, which I'll go through once. Craig, this is your report, isn't it?
I would defer to Helen on this occasion, thank you.
For a minute, I thought that was the person who just left the building. But Helen's sitting to the left. Helen, are you happy to accept this report?
Yes.
Okay, right, lovely, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, this report is to give a bit of an update on the Christmas offer. So in July, I presented a full Christmas offer report, which had various items in there relating to Christmas lighting and the tree and so on. This report relates to 2 of those elements as just a bit of an update. So starting off with the festive lighting extension, it was proposed that the festive lighting be extended to multiple locations across the town centre, so including Eastreach, Station Road, Bridge Street, Taunton Independent Area and Bath Place. As a bit of an update on exploring the extension for these areas, for Eastreach, Station Road and Bridge Street, there needs to be some infrastructure added in there through Somerset Council, which comes at a bit of a significant cost. And because of timelines, for Christmas. Time is of the essence, and unfortunately we're not able to sort of get that booked in before Christmas this year. However, we are proposing that we're going to use some of the budget to get that infrastructure in place from the beginning of next year, so that for 2026 we can extend lights to those areas. That said, I've explored extending to Bath Place, so it's been proposed to install warm icicle lights along buildings with pending landlord permissions for anchor points and identification of a power source. For Taunton Independent Quarter, the lighting contractor recommends installing icicle lights to the already existing catenary wires in the area, so we can extend to both of those areas within budget. For the Little Festive Trees Trail, which is the other part of this report, a bit of an update on that. So initially, the idea was to have 5 to 8 large decorated trees in key locations throughout the town centre, with budget approximately around 6,500 earmarked for the project. However, again, due to limited resources and time constraints, a revised plan has been proposed which involves collaborating with local businesses already displaying large Christmas trees around the town, thus reducing costs and avoiding duplication and strengthening community partnerships. The allocated budget will now cover decorations and communications materials, with estimated cost dropping to around 2,000, so it's significantly cheaper. The project remains open to revisiting full tree procurement or hiring a tree trowel for 2026, allowing for better planning and broader implementation to address health and safety concerns, power supplies and so on. So looking at a summary of the finance and resource implications, so starting with the Christmas lighting, funding from the Christmas lighting budget and town centre improvements will support extended festive lighting and infrastructure upgrades in several areas for 2026. The total of this will be around £22,383.17. The cost of that includes £7,838 approved through the committee on the 15th of July, so previous report, and the 15,000 requested here in addition is, sorry, the 15,000 requested here is in addition to that amount and stays within the approved budget. With the revised approach for the Little Festive Trees Trail, again, sort of mentioned previously, this will be reduced to around £2,000. As a summary of risk assessments, so the risks highlighted within the report indicate there's no severe risks associated with this proposal. And in terms of equalities, no equality impact assessment was necessary. However, it's suggested that Christmas lighting be referred to as festive lighting to remain inclusive. And then looking at a timescale, so Christmas lighting, ASAP, approval required for a Bath Place association, so that's sort of the businesses within Bath Place. We need approval from them and a power supply identified for the lighting. So that's for the lighting. And then the Little Christmas Tree Trail, again, ASAP with the timescale. Subject to delegated approval of the proposed trail to outreach to local businesses can begin, and the council can commence collaboration with local partner organisations to coordinate tree decorations. This planning phase is expected to take approximately 2 to 3 weeks. All trees should be in place by the first week of December at the latest. So that's the kind of initial report. I do have some further updates, but I think should be sort of explored. So starting again with the tree lighting, Bath Place Association, so again the businesses within Bath Place have granted approval for the lighting and a power source has been identified, so we can install those as soon as possible. For the Christmas tree trail, I've met with Go Create, who is our partner who we're collaborating with on the project, and they've proposed a slightly different approach, which kind of aligns with what we're trying to achieve with the trail. And basically the proposal of this is 12 wooden trees around 6 foot in height, with some medium and smaller ones integrated in as well, potentially around the 12 Days of Christmas theme. This will still be within the 1,500 to 2,000 budget. Installed from the 23rd of November, which will be our switch on event. It can be pushed back to the 1st of December if needed, but speaking with them, they were quite confident that they could deliver within that time frame. And each of these wooden trees will be painted by at least 5 local groups that they currently work with. So they'll be decorated by local community groups. And then lastly, the trail itself will be a simple trail, sort of access through a QR code, and it'll be like a digital map version. So in terms of aligning with our climate strategy, there'll be no printing costs associated with that. It would just be purely online. Sorry, one last point. 12 proposed locations include Magdalen Lane, Bath Place, Castle Green, Goodland Gardens, Orchard Centre, East Street, at the railway station, St James's Church, Taunton Minster, County Walk, Vivery Park and Riverside Place. We are also going to still explore partnerships with local businesses who are having real Christmas trees as well, and have those as part of the map. So slightly different to the trail itself, but included on the map just as a highlight of where they are, to sort of encourage people to visit those venues and businesses and increase footfall.
Thank you very much. So the 12 trees are going. So what was the list of locations?
Yes, sorry, I've run through that really fast. So the proposed locations is Magdalen Lane. It was recently brought sort of highlighted that lighting would like to be in that area from next year, so we thought having a tree in that area could be a good compromise for this year. Bath Place, Castle Green, Goodland Gardens, the Orchard Centre, East Street, one at the railway station, St James's Church, Taunton Minster, County Walk, Vivery Park and Riverside Place were the proposed locations.
Is that inside Vivery Park?
Yes, I believe so.
And whereabouts on East Reach?
I'm not too sure. I think that's open. I do have an email in my inbox that goes into further detail, so I can sort of give that if that's needed. But
Well, it's nice that we've actually started to include far more areas around our town. And the little festive trail that leads to them all, to these little trees.
yes, yeah.
Great. So good. I think we've got the locations. And any other comments on this? Councillor Ellis?
No, I'm very happy about the little festive trees. It's very cost effective. Go Create totally know what they're doing, and they're, you know, past masters at this, and totally know how to do a trail, totally know how to get loads of really cool people involved to make it sing. So I really thank you for your work on that, Helen. And also, I mean, it is disappointing we can't have Christmas lights this year on Station Road and Bridge Street and East Street, but it's not out of our hands, isn't it? So what we're doing now is doing the only thing we can do, which is getting it all the infrastructure sorted so that we can in future years. But at the same time, there will be an enhancement anyway for this year, so that's all good. We're just doing, you know, our utmost, aren't we? So I'm very happy with all of this.
Yes, I think the enhancement is that we've included more than just the town centre.
Yeah.
And I think they're good. And yes, lampposts need to be tested for structural weight before we can start sticking on things on them. So that's something we have to do. Again, we want these things to stay up and be safe. So I'm very happy to propose the £15,000 to do that. Is that for selected lampposts or all the lampposts going up the road? Those areas.
That will cover all of the lampposts. Yeah. So yeah, East Reach, Station Road, Bridge Street. I think it's 25 in total.
25 in total.
Yeah.
And up Station Road as far as.
Why?
The whole entirety of Station Road.
Yeah.
Excellent, very good. So yes, I'm very happy with that investment there, because £15,000 now, that's one-off payment, but year after year we've extended our lighting, festive joy and spirit. Are there any other comments from members? No. Okay. So well, I'm looking forward to this. The Christmas trees, I mean, they're self-standing.
So they'll be sort of cable tied to railings and so on. When I spoke with Go Create, they've done things like that before. There is an element of maybe needing to get permission from Somerset Council for certain areas, so that will need to be addressed. But they were quite confident that they've done things like that before.
So they're all going to be physically attached.
Yeah, and they'll all be sort of primed so they can withstand weather if it rains and everything. It should be.
Nobody can walk off with them.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than following a festive trail and finding somebody's walked off with a tree you're looking for. So I'm very happy to spend the £15,000 to get our lamppost off scratch. And we've noted the proposal festive tree trail and the festive light project. And the last thing is for members to approve delegated authority for the community and place manager and the chair of the community place committee and the delivery of festive improvements in Taunton implemented area in Bath Place and for the delivery of the little festive tree trail. So those are the three recommendations. I'm happy with all three. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Strauss. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ellis. So all those in favour? Asked unanimously. Lovely. Thank you very much. So we now move on to the biodiversity policy. And we are considering to adopt and formally agree to the implementation of the biodiversity policy and as listed in the Green Flag Park Management Plans. We also to note the awaiting of potential amendments by Somerset Council's Biodiversity and Land Management Officer in comments on the document. Is this referring to the natural land recovery strategy? That councils.
The nature recovery thing,
Nature recovery.
maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Nature recovery, because that consultation ends on Friday, doesn't it?
Mm.
So probably
Probably.
March. Yeah. Right. So this report has been prepared by Jordan, but she's not here. So are you? Ah, Tilly. Tilly, if you'd like to explain and go through this report. Well,
Thank you, Chair. So just a note in terms of we need to update one of the recommendations. I understand the first recommendation should be updated to review and recommend for adoption to the Finance and Government Committee. For this
that's a
policy.
recommendation number 2, is it?
Recommendation 1. So instead of voting to adopt the policy, voting instead to recommend the adoption of the policy to the Finance and Governance Committee.
Okay. Do we need to proposal for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd like to change recommendation 1 to recommend.
To recommend the adoption of the biodiversity policy to the Finance and Governance Committee.
I'll propose that. Okay, Councillor Strauss, thank you. Happy to second. All those in favour?
Why? Why does it have to go finance and go?
Oh, that's a very good question.
I understand that our kind of procedures have been that the policy will go to the kind of subject matter committee, and then all policies, regardless, will go to the Finance and Governance Committee.
Oh,
Yes, I think that's because as a policy that now governs our actions, I guess.
okay, yeah, fine.
Yes, yes. You asked the question, I thought I understood there, and I thought, no, actually, well, yes, no, I did, yes, because obviously it's a policy that governs. Right, so recommendation 2 is okay, is it?
Yes.
All right,
thank you.
okay, so yes, if you'd like to carry.
Thank you. So the this report is about the suggested Taunton Town Council biodiversity policy. This has been introduced based on some new statutory duties under the Environment Act 2021 and the NERC Act 2006, which collectively now require councils to conserve and enhance biodiversity. And as part of this, the council must adopt a formal framework for biodiversity objectives and actions, and must produce their first report as of 1st of January 2026, which details actions taken to date.
The policy itself is attached as an appendix for you, but I'll just go through some key highlights for you. So in the policy, it highlights safeguarding and creating habitats, promoting urban biodiversity and engaging with communities. It includes actions such as biodiversity audits, tree and wildflower strategies, pollinator corridors, wildlife-friendly land management and green infrastructure, community engagement and partnerships with local wildlife organisations, and it stipulates monitoring with an initial review after 6 months and then annually in line with the statutory reporting requirements. At this stage, there is no immediate costs associated with recommending the adoption of the policy. However, long-term savings are expected as we start to build resilient ecosystems. The key risks identified here is potential for reputational damage, particularly in relation to our impact accreditation, as this was one of the actions that was included within that, as well as a failure to meet the statutory duties under the Environment Act 2021. And therefore the recommendation is to recommend the adoption of the policy. In regards to recommendation 2 around the note about changes, this policy is currently under review from Somerset Council's Biodiversity and Land Management Officer, who is providing some scrutiny on the policy and reviewing it in line with the county-wide policy to ensure alignment. So this policy is likely to come back subject to amendments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so looking at this, let me send the ambition 6. This says scrutinise planning applications. How well they protect national habitats and wildlife corridors for their contribution to biodiversity gain. I mean, I think being on the planning committee, I know that every planning application has to produce a biodiversity net gain report anyway, doesn't it? Yes. So yes, I mean, I think this is valuable. Just another question I got. So we're reaching net zero by 2030. Do we have any metrics on how we're doing getting to that?
So we are yet to undertake our baselining. So that will be our key step in ascertaining sort of where we currently are with our emissions. Then we can put together a transition plan to map what that would look like. It is on the docket, if you like, in terms of upcoming projects, with the hope to try and have a baseline reflective of the financial year that we're currently in.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I obviously support this because it was a commitment that we made in the climate and emergency strategy that we adopted over 2 years ago now. So yeah, this is important, and there's huge scope for increasing the biodiversity of this town. There's huge scope for us to use much more environmentally friendly forms of land management, and I think this is what this is geared to, as well as making sure that when we're scrutinising planning applications that they're looking. It's just because the developer says, oh yes, this will enhance biodiversity, you need to actually have the skills to look at it and say or yes it is, or actually, you know, it could be done better. So there's lots of projects that will, you know, this underpins. So it is really important. You know, if you don't care about nature or don't believe in the climate crisis, it's just a fact that we need more pollinators, otherwise we won't be eating anything. And if we don't act soon, you know, there's a crisis in nature. So we need every single place, whether it's a town, village, don't care where it is, every single place in this country needs to be looking to basically enhance biodiversity and create way more space for wildlife. So I absolutely welcome this. Just a point on, where is it? Where it says utilise council communication to raise awareness for trees for streets, an NGO that facilitates tree planting in residential streets at the request of residents. We had a briefing on that.
Just tell us where that is.
It's on page 9.
Page 9.
So I don't really know what that means, utilise councillor communication to raise awareness of. We had a discussion of that. You were there, I think, actually. We had a special session of the working group with trees for streets. And they're brilliant, but you'd have to cough up like £8 grand a year, and then on top of that, there'll be extra costs. So that if you're part of Trees for Streets, if your council signs up to it, what that means is that any resident, it's all through their website. So we often do have residents say to us, oh, you know, I wish I could have a tree here, a tree there, whatever. So if you were signed up to Trees for Streets, if the council was, you could just go online, request it. And then the idea is that you help look after it, you contribute towards the cost if you've asked for it, and you help water it and look after it. So it's a great scheme. And in places where they have it, there are, you know, trees spring up and people just feel, yes, I can have a blinking tree and look after it if I want it. So it's a really good scheme. But I think where we had got to was it'd be hard to justify us coughing up that amount just as Taunton Town Council, not knowing, like, you know, and then extra costs on top of that. But that what would make sense would be for Somerset Council to be under it. And if they couldn't cough up whatever the money, that maybe we could do some sort of deal and we could talk to other parishes and whatnot. So I think that needs maybe a little bit of rewording. I can't remember off the top of my head what we said. We definitely, I think we mentioned this in the climate strategy, but I think it's more something that we need if we want to do something like that, where our residents will be able to request a street tree and contribute towards it and it would make more sense for it to be done economically, you know, efficient to do it through, you know, having a sort of consortium, you know, so that it's a broad area. Then it would definitely be, if you're thinking about the whole of if Somerset Council was to sign up to it for, you know, whatever the fee is, that probably is worth it, definitely, for that massive of an area. So I'll just, and I'm sure, I think the tree officer at Somerset Council might have left, but I questioned him about this. This is going back somewhere, and he was sounding quite open to talking about it.
Yes.
So we need to follow up. We need a mental note.
Left at the beginning of the year. Yes, so is there anything you want to come back on that?
I can just to say I do remember the conversations, but at the same time we were also discussing the Urban Tree Challenge Fund, and actually because that was 100% funded through the Forestry Commission, that was very much the direction that we were going down at that time.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that we could revisit. So thank you.
Is there any other comments that people would like to make on this? So we have our policy. It is worth reviewing it from that time and just seeing what we've got there. So we are looking at our ecology and our biodiversity, which is very, very important, and especially looking at in terms of our parks and our open spaces, seeing what we can do there. And I'm very pleased that we are extending our green flag status to 3 other open spaces now, which will help. And we do undertake an ecological review of those now 6 spaces. Again, finding metrics on how we are improving. I think that's important that we always get these metrics. So 2 recommendations. Now you have to bear with me because just got to swap teams. So we have the first recommendation, which Ollie, are you able to read out that again?
Yeah, Chair. So I think it's to recommend the adoption of the biodiversity policy to the Finance and Governance Committee.
And then the second one is to note the awaiting potential amendments by Somerset Council's Biodiversity and Land Management Officer, pending comments on the document, which will be circulated to the committee. So I'm happy to propose this. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pollard. Right, all those in favour? Yeah, that was passed unanimously. Okay, right. So finally, plenty of time before the bacon. So we have town centre alleyways. So this has come to us to request to recommend for Taunton Town Council to recommend that Taunton Town Council lobby Somerset Council to undertake works to refresh the appearance and install applicable safety additions to key town centre alleyways, and to request delegated authority to the community and place manager to proceed with works to refresh key town centre alleyways and invoice Somerset Council for works should resource be a challenge for Somerset Council. So the report has been produced again by Tilly. So if you'd like to add some detail to your report, Tilly, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you, Chair. Since there have been reports of antisocial behaviour and poor conditions in alleyways in the town centre, raising safety concerns, including a serious incident in July 2025 that was brought to our attention by MP Deane Amos. We've undertaken site visits for 3 key town centre alleyways. The first one is located between Mountain Warehouse and the Motor Museum at TA1 1LX. Second is between Bath Place and the Crescent Car Park, TA1 4ER. And alleyway 3 is between the Crescent Car Park and the top of the High Street, so at TA1 3PN. Each of these were reviewed under a site visit where issues with lighting, cleanliness and visibility was identified. Lighting repairs are now logged with Somerset Council, and some are underway, but still the finalised works remain incomplete. This report proposes the following improvements to the alleyways. So removal of graffiti and repainting where appropriate with hydrophobic paint. So this paint is designed to repel fluids, liquids, etc. So as we understand, the alleyways are often used as a public urination spot. It's to sort of repel that and to maintain the cleanliness as is possible with the alleyways. For 2 of the alleyways, it was suggested to install convex safety mirrors for improved visibility. Add alleyways to the CCTV upgrade list. So as we understand from previous committees, we are underway with the current phase of upgrades. We've had requests for additional upgrades that we'll consider as part of phase 2. So including these alleyways as part of that. And then in particular for the alleyway 2 between Bath Place and the Crescent Car Park, there is also a suggestion to potentially explore mural options in that area to make more of a feature of the alleyway, subject to interest and permissions. And the purpose here is, and in addition to the improvements, we'd also like to lobby for increased street cleaning by Somerset's contractor in that area. The estimated costs for Somerset Council at this time were anticipated at around £3,000, which would include mirrors, paint, land registry searches. But it should also be noted there would be costs involved with potentially to acquire licenses for the works or to shut the alleyways and apply for a path diversion, which haven't been included here. At this time, no direct cost to Taunton Town Council has been found, as it's understood that at this time, although we might undertake the works due to capacity and resources of Somerset Council, the lobbying efforts would seek to invoice Somerset Council for the works undertaken. Our maintenance team has kindly provided an overview of what the time requirements may be, in addition to the published report. So they anticipate approximately between 3 to 5 days per alleyway for the cleaning of graffiti, the painting and the fitting of the mirror infrastructure. The key risks identified here is that Somerset Council may decline due to budget constraints, which could risk public dissatisfaction. And it's important to note we require clear communication and a lobbying strategy to be identified. And a note, this supports our corporate plan, priority for innovation, vibrant town centre. And therefore the recommendation is to lobby Somerset Council for works and grant delegated authority for us to act as needed if they are able to resource themselves. Thank you.
Okay. A lot there. So he's talking about identifying the landowners. So are the alleyways publicly owned? It's just the walls.
Yes, so it'll be looking at the buildings beside them, who
Right.
owns those properties.
Right, I've got several questions here. Councillor Strauss.
Caroline Ellis was first. Councillor Ellis. I defer.
Let's go down. Let's go down the table. Councillor Strauss, you go first.
Well-
You are the mayor.
Well, thank you. I would actually like to make a very sad observation about this. This is so badly needed. You'll recall that Pat Hawkins, the owner of the Classic Car Museum, sadly passed away recently. And I went in there on the day that his death was announced. And his wife was most upset because he had been cleaning that alley, even though he was a very ill man, and he had a collapse and died. I subsequently happened to meet, ironically, at another funeral this week, the previous owner of County Stores. And he told me this has been going on for many, many years. They used to have exactly the same problem. So it would be a major boon to the town if we could help resolve this problem. It's long standing. And it's caused the death of one person who was very much a contributor to our community. And I think this would be very well received.
Yes, thank you. Down there, that's the same that would clean that anyway daily.
Yes.
Not his. He just saw it as a public service. Yeah, that's his contribution to keeping our town clean. Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, I might have sort of done a personal interest thing. I don't know if it's on my thing because of
Yes,
husband. I just haven't got this is because of him. So, I'm married to the MP, so but I can still. That doesn't matter, does it? Just declared it.
Declared it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got no pecuniary interest in this, is there?
No. I mean, obviously, it's my. These are all in my division as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
your Somerset.
Yeah, Somerset division. So that will be interesting to see what they're. So you had a site visit with them. I don't know who you can reveal who you actually got them out. And did you get a question? But there'll be more comments. Did you get a sense from them of, oh yes, that we will just do. Yes, we will do this. Yes, they must have a. I mean, yes, the budget is absolutely there. There is never any budget for anything. Especially not, anything that isn't absolutely the bare blooming statutory minimum. They just will say, you haven't get any money. However, I think that if we lobby, they might be able to, sometimes people can magically find little pots, can't they?
Especially
sometimes.
Safety.
Especially, public safety, and especially if it's got the heft of the whole town council behind it. And the MP. So yes, I think we should absolutely do this. I would just caution though, you are not going to stop people pissing in the town centre of an evening because there are no toilets open, public toilets, unless if you forget to go if you've been out for a drink or whatever. We don't provide public toilets, so that we know we have rough sleepers, but there's nowhere for them to go to the toilet. And for as long as there is nowhere for them to go to the toilet, that is a big issue to my mind. There needs to be somewhere, if you're out and about, or you might have been. There's all sorts of reasons why somebody might be out and about at night, even if they're not a rough sleeper, and you need to spend a penny or deposit some business. There's nowhere to do it. There's nowhere to do it sanitarily. If you're a rough sleeper, what are you supposed to do?
Absolutely.
Where are you supposed to? Where?
I quite agree.
So I think this is a big issue. So I completely support this. And yeah, it'd be quite funny. So basically what you're suggesting is that if they won't agree to it, we do it anyway and we send them an invoice. No. That'll be interesting.
I think we would have to confirm that they would pay the invoice before.
Just that could be interesting. No, I can thank you for all the work you've done on this. Is the benefit of having a town council. This
Yeah,
is one of the-
absolutely.
where it comes into its own.
100%.
There's somebody, you've
Yeah.
got an officer who's got the time,
Yeah.
you know, to bother about these things that are actually, that nobody, you know, big councils are like, well, it's not really, and we haven't got any money. But so I'm really grateful, and I'm sure my husband will be very, very grateful likewise that you picked this up, and we've got some.
In our town, and we take pride in it.
Yeah, we take
Absolutely.
pride in our town, but I do just caution about, we're gonna have to find a solution to people not being able to go toilet anywhere sanitarily.
Well, the only way around it is to have a toilet open at night, but
Yeah.
the trouble is that's open to vandalism, it's open to drugs and all the other things. This is the problem. There's no easy answer to it.
Well, there will be
But
an
they-
answer, it's just,
but
it
they-
might not be an easy,
but
immediate one.
There should be a toilet available at night if it can be done.
Also, there's no night shelter, so, you know, there needs to be some sort of night something provision.
Yes.
Including the toilet, I think. We can pick that up another time, but
That's an
it just
interesting
highlights
thought.
it for me, so I'm very happy about
That
this.
would be a
and-
major public service.
Yeah,
You would. Just had one available open.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's but one.
There are people we can talk to, the street chaplains and others, about maybe as a community we could find some way of having a night shelter that would be, we have volunteers to just to keep an eye on it. Because that's the problem. You can't have it becoming just somewhere where they shoot themselves up and then leave the needles all over the place, because that's what you're inviting them to do, unfortunately. And it's a very difficult problem because there should be a toilet open at night, in my view. I think it's something we need to pursue.
I mean, look, going back to the alleyways, I mean, the two of them are very, very thin. I'm not entirely sure how safety mirrors would help here, but I do think better lighting,
Yeah.
LED strip lighting all the way down, very bright, very efficient, very, very cost effective and cheap. I think that would certainly deter a lot of people. If they're nicely illuminated, because I mean the one between the county hall, county stores, the motor museum, and Melbourne Lighthouse. I mean it's very thin, very thin. I mean you'll never get any mirrors showing anything there, but nice lighting, especially as it is actually a very convenient path through to Woolwich car park.
Yes, it is.
So actually, we should be doing something there. And
But
the
then-
other one at the top of the high street, again, it's very, very narrow. I don't think two people can pass in it, can they?
I often
It's
use that.
been
problem. You're very skinny.
So, so again, but I think better lighting, certainly. It'd be nice to paint it, but the issue is if you start painting other people's property. I mean, I suppose you have to have
permission.
You have to have permission.
Oh, yes, it's their property.
Yeah.
But the other thing is in Bath Place, there's a sign which says no cycling. The cyclists do abuse it. Some of them ride down quite fast and it's a hazard. So,
No, not me.
so
I think cycling now.
if we're talking about Bath Place, that's something else that needs consideration about enforcing that.
Hmm.
There's going to be an accident one of these days.
Yeah, so I think the one that connects Bath Place to the Crescent.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's nice wide. I think that could certainly do the lick of paint. Definitely lick of paint. So I would be very happy. And actually, it's got some lighting along the side. I don't think it looks like it's worked for a long time. I do
And it needs modern lighting as
so
well.
Is the lighting included in the financial proposal? I couldn't remember.
No, so the lighting costs aren't included because the conversations that we've had today is about repairing the existing lighting. So I understand that although it looks yellow in some of the pictures, it is all LED or
Oh, it is?
lighting.
It doesn't look like it looks broken in this photograph.
Yes, so there are some lights which are not working. So as it currently stands, those broken lights are with Somerset Council on their system logged as a need for repair. At the moment, there hasn't been any included about any further upgrades for the lighting. There was conversations around due to the listed nature or the heritage nature of some of the buildings, that changing the kind of physical lighting could be a challenge with some of those.
Is that something we could discuss with Somerset Council that we took on as a like an SLA, that they pay us a certain amount each year to maintain the lights? Because we've got the depot, we've got the ability to do that, and Somerset Council just pay. Could we negotiate that we take on the maintenance of the lights, but you know, Somerset Council pay us a certain, like an SLA agreement. Just to see a way, some way that, you know, yes, they might come around and fix the lights eventually, and then they break, and then we're back to going, well, they broke again, oh, well, eventually come around. But if we have an agreement with Somerset Council and that we maintain them, then as soon as they're broken, they're fixed. But we try and negotiate with Somerset Council like an SLA agreement that we will take that on for free.
So as part of the one of the recommendations, which is lobbying Somerset, we can explore other, we can have other conversations and explore actually what we might be able to do together collectively to address the concerns that we've spoken about today and what's been highlighted in the committee. So yeah, as part of us lobbying, we can explore.
Some contribution is better than no contribution. Any other comments that anyone like to make? Well, I think this is worth pursuing.
Yes.
It's definitely worth pursuing. So we're going to. So recommendation is that as a council, we say lobby. Do you think we should change that to start negotiating with Somerset Council?
Is there like going to be a letter written? Normally when we sort of want to get, right, well, this needs to happen or whatever, there's a letter that goes from, I don't know, leader or clerk or whoever to the relevant person saying, what? You know, we need action on X, Y, Z. This is, we've had these initial discussions, but blah, 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 blah. So I'm assuming there's some sort of formal communication needs to occur. I mean, then we can, off the back of that, councillors can also sort of nobble behind the scenes or whatever, but I think there needs to be some sort of, isn't there, sort of formal say that we, you know, we discussed this, we resolved blah, 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 that we need you to sit. I mean, the lights, if it's there, they just fix the damn things for it. That's an absolute disgrace. I mean, this is the thing, is you log stuff, you report stuff, and it's like, it can take ridiculous years to get anything, you know, to get anywhere. So I think there needs to be some sort of formal.
To pester. That's what pester.
I don't think we need to amend it to do that. I think just somebody needs to write a letter to the relevant opposite number saying, you know, enough is enough, guys, come on. And then, by the way, you know, also they need painting, this needs to happen.
These are alleyways in our town, we're proud of our town, and actually we want it done. So I think a more collaborative, you know.
Yeah.
But lobby Somerset Council, I think lobbying, I think just need to try and be more collaborative in order to get something done. Just express that. So, well, I mean, if you're happy with the word lobby, okay. So recommendation 1: to recommend for Taunton Town Council lobby Somerset Council to undertake works to refresh the appearance and install applicable safety additions to key town centre alleyways, which I do think is improving the lighting on where that is essential. And 2: to request delegated authority to the community and place manager proceed with works to refresh key town centre alleyways and invoice Somerset Council for works, should resource be a challenge for Somerset councils. Well, an invoice or a seek remuneration.
Request.
It's the same as you're
Yeah,
asking thing is
actually invoice. Yeah, but invoice is just, we do the work, we send a bill, and then we
You can't demand.
no, hence seek.
Well, I would say request.
Yeah, request. Yeah. Good.
Councillor Greg. Thanks, Chair. I was just going to add, obviously, there is a kind of second part to that second recommendation, which goes into say, should Somerset Council's resource be a challenge? So there'd be a conversation with them to say, actually, if they've got resourcing issues, but they recognise the work is needed, then we would do the work and then invoice them. So there is an outcome potentially that Somerset Council say, actually, we don't have a resource issue. We just know that we've hit our obligation as the unitary authority, and therefore we might have to reconsider the recommendation at a later date at committee.
Okay, because I'm just conscious that the prices you quoted so far don't include the lights, and I think the lights are essential. So we need to re-quote on the price. Include the lights. I mean, I think we should. I think we need to get the ball rolling on this. Yeah. I would say. So you need to go back and start looking at how much it's going to also cost for the lights, because I think that is essential addition. Improvements. Nobody walks down an alleyway if it's not lit. So, well, not without some trepidation.
Well, we've done it for the kids, haven't we, on the underpasses?
Okay, so are we happy? Do I have a proposer for the two recommendations? Okay, Councillor Pollard. So we'll pass it on the recommendations as it is, but I think we stress concerns that it does need to include lighting and see some movement on that. So do I have a seconder? Councillor Ellis. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Right, lovely. That concludes tonight's community in place. Thank you everyone for watching, listening, reviewing.